Building an aesthetic physique is the one area of your life that you have total control over. And how you show up with your fitness, with your physique, that shows up in every area of your life. Because the guy who's on off with his fitness goals, he's normally all off, he's normally on off within his life, within his career, within his business, within his relationships, and with his goals. But the guy who's all in with fitness, he's the guy who's normally all in with life. And I've coached over 800 guys over the last 8 years. And the guys who get the results, the guys who get to that 8 to 12% body fat and actually maintain it year round, it's not just the physical changes that happen. Yes, most guys step into the gym for the physical changes. But once you come in and you realize it's about how mentally sharp you are on a daily basis, the predictable energy that you have, the confidence that grows with that you can then transfer those disciplines that you have gained from the gym into any area of your life, your business, your relationships, your career. That's the real win. And most guys get into the gym, they're crash dieting. They're trying to go really aggressive with these crazy approaches that never last long term. It's a short-term approach. You have the intensity, but you don't have the consistency. And that's the issue. In this video, I'm going to give you the exact protocol to build an aesthetic physique, to be mentally sharp, have predictable energy on a daily basis, how to design your day that you can compound growth physically, mentally, and professionally. So we're going to stop viewing the physique as the end product, and we're going to start viewing it as a byproduct of the man you are, how you show up each and every day. And I want to show you something here before we get started, because it's going to tie in quite nicely. This is a client of mine, just finished up his 4 phases. This is where he started. He's 30% body fat here. And look at him here. He's 8 to 10% body fat max. This is natural as well. This is no PEDs. This is no peptides. This is fully natural from here to here. And the biggest shift that happened here was the first thing that I want to touch off. He stopped viewing it as a short-term approach and started viewing it as a lifestyle. And that is the key. That is the most important thing. Because as I mentioned, if you're trying to go all in 100% with a crazy approach that is not suited to you in your life, you may have those short-term results. But what good is it? What good is the short-term results if you get into shape and you can maintain it for 2, 3, 4 weeks max, but then you rebound back to square one? And then each year you're repeating the same cycle. And that's the cycle we need to break, because I was caught in that as well. And I see so many guys that I work with, they're all caught in the exact same cycle. And this video is going to break that down for you. But the first thing that we need to understand is lifestyle over everything. Integrate it into your lifestyle. And if that even means that your progress is a little bit slower to get to the end result, but once you get there and you reverse out, you can actually maintain the result year round. That's what we need to do. So lose the short-term thinking and play the long game. Integrate it into your lifestyle. And I promise you, that's when you enjoy it. That's when you feel mentally sharp, physically sharp, high energy, confident, year round. It shouldn't be for a couple of weeks. It needs to be year round. And that comes down to how you show up each and every day. And I want to touch off my daily process, just so you have an understanding. Like, we'll touch off the training, the nutrition, the phases, how to set up your diet, etc. further down. But I think the first thing that we need to touch off is how to actually set up your days so you can view it as a lifestyle and actually integrate it as a lifestyle. I'm going to turn on the AC because it's hot. Absolutely cooking. So the first thing, and the reason why I want to touch off my daily process first is to give you an insight as to how I set up my days. And obviously each individual is different depending on your business, your career, your family life. But an example just so you can see through. And the key thing that I want you to take out of this is, when I do run you through this, is the habits, okay? Because at the end of the day, every result that you have in life right now is just an extension of you and the discipline you have around your habits. So you either have positive habits or negative habits. You have habits that are moving you towards your goals or bringing you further away from your goals. And that's why we need to really sit and analyze our days. A lot of the time, success in any area is actually about subtracting. It's not about adding more things in. It's about removing certain things. Because when you actually sit and analyze what needs to happen from a physique standpoint, from building an aesthetic physique, you need to train, you need to have your macros dialed in, your water needs to be on point, and your recovery. They're the main key things that need to be dialed in, okay? And then obviously you need to have the correct phases, roadmap to bring you through the different stages to actually achieve the results you want. But on a daily basis, when you break it down, it's very, very simple. But it's more so the destructive habits that are taking us away from that. Doom scrolling, drinking too much caffeine and nicotine too close to bed, and then it's affecting your sleep. So you're not recovering correctly. Your energy, your hormones dip because of the lack of sleep. You're maybe on point with your diet, but then you binge eat, and that just undoes all your progress. Your destructive habits of alcohol, over consuming alcohol. There's things that you need to eliminate first. And that's what makes it easier. It's a lot of success is subtraction rather than adding things in, because there's a few things that need to happen to actually achieve success. So first thing every day, and actually just to take a step backwards, this has been key for me as well, and something that I give to all my clients, is this one task. How does a productive day happen? How does a productive day start? It always starts with the night before. How you prepare to go to sleep, making sure you get enough sleep the night before. That's going to dictate whether you have a productive day or whether you're going to be waking up, you're going to be dragging yourself through the day, you're going to be rushing out the door, you're going to be rushing to work, whatever it might be. Set an alarm clock for an actual wind down routine. Have an alarm that will literally go off when it's time to wind down. I promise you, you do this and that will completely change the game for you, because it will get you to go to bed on time. Because what happens late at night, you're normally scrolling, you're normally staying up too late, you may overconsume on your diet because you're bored in the evening, you've had a stressful day. Get to bed on time. I promise you that is the one habit straight away that you can implement as of today. Set a bedtime and set an alarm. That's going to allow you to get good quality sleep. Then when you wake up first thing in the morning, you jump up out of bed, feet hit the ground, you're ready to go. What we then do is we wake up, we hydrate due to being sleeping and fasting for those 8 hours. Hydrate, get your supplements into you. From there, then we go straight into a morning alignment process. Okay, this is a morning alignment process. I know if you've watched videos before, you've heard me. I'm not going to dive too deep into it for this video. But what I will say is there's a free link, free resource below. Shows you step by step exactly the process. You can download that if you want. I would recommend that you do. It's golden. This is what happens every single morning for me, because it sets my state. It sets who do I need to be before what do I need to do. You're setting the state. You're setting that frequency before you actually step into the day, okay? You do this and you minimize. You do not touch your phone. No social media, no emails, no work notifications. I promise you this change alone will have a huge impact on how you approach the day, your outlook on the day, and how productive you are on the day, okay? Wake, hydrate, supplements, morning alignment process, no phone, get out for a walk, get some movement. First thing in the morning, this is going to help you naturally wake up. If you can get sunlight, it's going to help with the circadian rhythm. That is going to be key. I promise you, that's a morning routine. It takes no more than 15 to 20 minutes, and it will be the highest leverage task that you can do before you even start the day. And as I said, it's not just about the physique. It's about how we attack our day. It's about how we show up as the entrepreneur, as the father, as the husband, as the partner, whatever it might be. This is not just about your physique. It's about how you approach your days, because you need to win the days to win the weeks, to win the months, to win the years, to win at life. That's the morning process. As I said, non-negotiable, no matter what country I'm in, where I'm at in the world, that happens. Non-negotiable. We then move into, okay, depending on where we are, for you, for an example, I want to make this actionable for you so you can actually take value out of this and get moving with it as of now. But what you then need to do is you need to set up your days. Okay, so I would implement that morning routine, non-negotiable 100%. Then from there, you need to analyze your day. Okay, where are your business meetings? Or maybe you're in a 9-to-5 job. Where are the non-negotiable tasks that need to happen within your business? So you need to set up your day correctly. Are you doing your business growth? Are you doing your client fulfillment? Are you doing some upskilling on a daily basis? You then time that, your non-negotiable calendar. And then from there, what you need to do is you need to say, okay, where do I now fit in my training? Where do I now fit in my nutrition? How does that work around? And how do I actually need to time my training and nutrition? So once you have your calendar for the week set out, and I would recommend just using a Google Calendar with all the non-negotiable things that need to happen. As I said, subtract what is not beneficial in your day-to-day life. Add in your morning routine, build out your structure, and then from there, okay, where are your deeper work blocks? Where do you need to be mentally sharp for on a daily basis? Non-negotiable. You need to be sharp. You want to have the most high energy. That's when you time your nutrients in and around there correctly. What we don't want to do is we don't want to have, let's say for instance, you're doing a deep work block in the morning and you go smash a load of oats, Cocoa Pops, whatever, a huge high carbohydrate meal. What's going to happen is you're going to spike your blood sugars and they're going to crash. And that's when you normally get that midday crash, okay? So we need to be managing your energy on a daily basis, depending on what work you're doing and depending on where you need to be your mentally sharpest, okay? That's going to dictate how you set up your diet. Then in and around your training, that's when we're going to time your carbohydrates more. So essentially, just a quick breakdown, what we want to do is protein and fats, or else fasting in and around your deeper work blocks. That's going to keep you mentally sharp. And then in and around your training, you want to time the majority of your carbohydrates or later in the evening. Okay, so we still have a macro target to hit. That needs to be hit by the end of the day. But how you actually set that up and where you time your nutrients is so important when it comes to being mentally sharp and then building that aesthetic physique that you want. Once you have that done, then there's a 4-phase approach that you need to go through. Everyone needs to go through this. This is non-negotiable. First phase that we need to enter is the priming phase. And this priming phase is essentially once we have everything sorted, your routine sorted, your morning alignment process, your nutrition is timed as it needs to be, and your training is now scheduled in. What we then need to do is in this priming phase, we just refine that, okay? Remember, we're playing the long-term approach. We're not just trying to slash calories and go all in, all out, crash and burn like the majority of people do. We want to play the long-term game, okay? So what we need to do is take 4 weeks just to prime yourself. Figure out what's working, what's not working. Is there leaks in energy throughout the week? Maybe towards the back end of the week, you're struggling with fatigue, you're making bad decisions on the weekend. Okay, how can we structure that around? Do we get a meal prep company in for the weekend? Do we have certain options that we can eat out in when you're coming home late from work or you have business meetings, you're traveling, whatever it might be? This is where you fine tune that and get that baseline sorted. Once that baseline is sorted, your training intensity, your routine is dialed in, your nutrition is dialed in. You have the different options for when you are traveling, whatever it might be. Your macros is on point at a maintenance level in this priming phase, okay? We're getting your hormones into the green. We want your energy nice and high. We want your body used to consuming a set amount of calories and also a set amount of output, okay? Once you do that, you then transition into the peak phase. In this peak phase, this is where we're getting you to that 10% body fat, okay? So we diet you down each week. What needs to happen is we want to be aiming for at least 1% of body fat reduction per kg, okay? So let's just say you're 100 kgs. On a weekly basis, you want to be trying knocking off at least 1 kg on a weekly basis is what we want to be looking at, okay? From there, once we have that, and we're obviously tracking our data on the way down, we're tracking our weight, we're tracking our visuals, we're tracking energy, everything needs to get tracked. It's the data. It's like within business. If you don't have the data, you can't make the data decision adjustments, okay? So you have to treat it like that. And that's why when you are building the physique, as I said, it just transfers into every area of your life. If you can track what you're putting into your body, tracking your data, you're going to do that within your business. You're going to do that within your relationships. You're going to be just very, very efficient because your personal standards raise. So then your standards in every area of your life. You go for excellence within yourself, and that excellence within yourself transfers into every area of your life. So within that peak phase, we want to be pulling off at least 1% on a weekly basis of body fat until we get to like that 10% body fat. And again, on a weekly basis, you just need to adjust your output. You need to adjust your nutrition. Do you need to have structured refeeds in? Do you need to have deloads along the way? All of this is obviously depending on the data that you have on a weekly basis then. Then you go into that reverse phase. So you've primed the body, you've sorted your routine. You've now got down to that 10% body fat. Okay, but what happens? Your output's going to be high. Your nutrition's going to be low to get to that 10% body fat. It's as simple as that. There is no other way. It has to be done. But it's for a short term. That's why you need to have a start date and an end date for this phase. Okay? Once you hit that end date, you hit that 10% body fat, we then need to reverse back up. And once you reverse back up, you then get into a position where each week you're slowly bringing up the carbohydrates and you're slowly reducing the output again. What I mean by output is your cardio, your steps. Okay, so steps are coming down, cardio is coming down, food's going up. And what you'll notice is you can actually get leaner within this period as well, because you're reducing fatigue, but you're by less cardio, less output, and by increasing more food. So your body actually responds really well. You get fuller because there's more carbs in the system now. There's more carbs in your body. So the carbs get drawn into your muscle. The carbs then draw in water, and then you have more pop to your physique as well. So at the end of a dieting phase, you might feel a little bit flat, a little bit skinny. This reverse phase is the key, and it's the one that most people skip. But if you skip it, 9 times out of 10, you hit a good physique, but then you rebound because you don't do it correctly, or you get fat within a couple of weeks again. So the reverse is key to make sure that you bring yourself back to a maintenance position and you can actually easily maintain it year round. One of the guys, he finished on sub 2K calories. He finished his reverse phase, looks way better. Let me get it up for you. He looks way better, and he's now consuming 3,000 calories. So I'm on the web browser here, so that took me a lot longer than I would have liked, but I delete my Instagram because it stops me from going on Instagram only when I need to post. It's so slow. The reels are so slow. Don't play half of the time, so it keeps you off it. If you pick up your phone and you're someone who's just scrolling and you're like, fuck, I just wasted 30 minutes of my day, delete the app. And if you need to go on, use the web browser, but it's game changer. It stops you from going on a lot. But this is Tomas. So this is obviously where he started. You can see clearly overweight. Quality is not great. He's now down here, right? But essentially, he finished his dieting phase off at sub 2,000 calories. Within 6 weeks, he was back on 3,000 calories, looking fuller and looking leaner. So the reverse is the most important. But then from there, guys, okay, you've now built the physique. You've built the habits, you've installed the habits, you removed all the vices. You've got to that 10% body fat. You've now reversed back up, so you're fuller, you're still conditioned, and now you're in an area where you can literally just compound growth. You can go into a slight surplus, looking to gain around 0.25 to 0.5% of body weight on a weekly basis. Because if you want to stay sharp for work, you want to stay lean, you want to stay athletic, you don't need to be gaining more than that. If you're gaining more than that, it's just going to be unwanted body fat. So you need to keep the rate of gain nice and low, and your training needs to be progressing on a weekly basis. That is how you build an aesthetic physique, but not just that. That is how you maintain it year round. That's how you stay sharp. That's how you can then show up on a daily basis. I've now shown you how you need to time your nutrients around your work blocks, around your training. You know the 4 phases that you need to go through. Once you come out the back end, you can then compound growth literally in every area. You can set up your calendar in a different way if you need to focus on upskilling in certain areas, whatever it might be. You can pull back from the training. You're now doing less output, you're doing less cardio. You can even pull back the training volume if you want, and then focus on upskilling in other areas. Once you're mentally sharp, you build a physique, you have that aesthetic physique, that's it, it's done. It doesn't need to be this constant cycle of getting in and out of shape, because when you're out of shape, what's your main focus? To get into shape. But when you're in shape, you have that mental clarity. You understand, okay, I want to improve here. I want to improve here. I want to improve here. You have the body, which is the foundation, that you can then go after other areas of your life. But when you're out of shape, all you fucking care about is getting into shape. So stop repeating the cycle of in and out of shape. Get into shape, figure out where you want to upskill, personal development, skill set for your career, where you need to become a better entrepreneur, a better leader. Focus on those areas. But if you're fat and out of shape and all you care about is getting in shape, I promise you, you're keeping yourself stuck. And until you fully accept the fact that getting into shape is the highest leverage task that you can do for yourself as an individual, you're going to be looking for quick fixes here, there, and everywhere, and it's not going to last. Training approach then, like no more, you don't need to be spending more than an hour in the gym 4 to 5 times per week when it comes to your weights. How I like to set up training is two sets on your bigger compound movements, and then 2 to 3 sets on your more isolation work, okay? I'll do another video. If you want me to do a video on an exact full breakdown of the training split, I can do that. But just to keep note, compound movements, 2 sets, training to failure, obviously, and then isolation work, like your biceps, your triceps. And what I mean by compound is like your bigger, heavier pressing movements, squats, like lat pull downs, etc. they're compound, and I'd go for 2 sets on them. And the reason why I do that is they're going to be a lot more fatiguing on the body, okay? Again, we want to get in, we want to make sure that we're doing enough, we're creating enough stimulus to grow muscle tissue, but not too much that it's leaving us fatigued. Because I've done the bodybuilding approach where it's like all out, high reps, aggressive amount of sets. You train, don't worry, you train hard, but you're fatigued. You're just wiped out afterwards. I used to come home and I used to have to sleep after training because it was just too much volume. I wasn't managing my recovery correctly. So you want to be very, very intentional with how you set up your training. Cardio then, 2 to 3 cardio sessions per week from a low intensity state. That's going to help with cardiovascular health. It's going to help with body composition for longevity. About 10K steps, again, for a longevity standpoint for managing your body composition, but also just to get out, go for a walk in between work blocks. It's going to keep you mentally sharp. It's going to keep you, a key thing for me is getting up for my morning walk, no phone, no distraction. And then in between work blocks, I'll have short spurts where I'll go out for a walk and just let my brain relax, calm down. And a lot of the time, that's when you get your best ideas. When you give yourself that bit of time to relax, just to be connected with yourself. So getting your walks in is very important. And then I like to, again, like for me, I'll do different, that's the foundation of everything for building the aesthetic physique. But I then like to sprinkle in like some boxing. I've done a couple of high roxes, I've done half marathons. And for me, what I'll always do is I'll just be like, okay, I want to improve in a certain area. Okay, let me go to a boxing coach. Let me go to a high rocks coach. Let me go to a running coach. I'll always go to a coach. And even year round for my own self, for my own physique, I have a coach because, as I mentioned, the key is tracking your data, having a set structure that you do follow, setting up your days, because everything in life is just an extension of you and your daily habits, okay? So what I make sure I do is I have a coach year round for my physique standpoint, okay? He's going to help me manage everything because he's going to take away that decision making from me. I know what to do, but if I have someone in my corner saying, do this, do this, do this, I just check in. I understand, okay, this is my data. I check in once a week. There are my visuals. Okay, this is what needs to happen this week. That takes away the decision making from me. It holds me accountable to someone. That's with my physique. It's non-negotiable. With my business, non-negotiable. When I'm doing boxing, when I'm doing high rocks, when I'm doing running, I'll just go to an expert in that field and I will just say, you tell me what to do. I will do it. I will show up. I'll get the results. And then I don't have to think about it. So that's an important trait. And it's like, even the guys that come to me, it's like, guys that come to me, the guys that get the quickest results are just like, hey, I'm ready to go. Send me a cross payment link. And they always go 6 months to a year. Just boom, just like that, because they've made the decision. So you need to make a decision. Okay, I want to build an aesthetic physique. Okay, I want to learn how to play guitar. I want to learn how to speak Spanish. If you're just wanting, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to achieve it. You need to make the decision as of, I am making sure I'm getting the outcome. I am going to achieve an aesthetic physique. I'm going to learn how to play guitar. I'm going to learn how to speak Spanish. Once you make that decision, go to someone that can help you in that area. Commit to it. Just go all in. Don't be like, oh, I'll try for a month. I'll try for 2 months, see how it goes. Maybe it'll work. Bullshit. They're the people who don't get the results. The people who get the results, they make the decision. They know what they're going to do. They find someone that can help them and they commit all in. That's it. That's the key to success. Because at the end of the day, decision and speed, that's what's going to get you the results. So that was a little bit of a side tangent, but that accountability for me is the most important thing, and being held to a high standard. Because your standards, we can all set goals, we can all have these wishes, these hopes, these dreams. And we can set the ceiling nice and high. But until we actually raise the floor of what we accept from ourselves and the standards and the habits that we have on a daily basis, it's just a wish, it's a hope. So get very, very crystal clear on the vision that you want to achieve in any area of your life, but then make sure that your standards match that. That you're held to a high standard. Either you hold yourself, if you're the person that can hold yourself to a standard, do it. Or if you need accountability, if you need help, get someone that can help you in that area. And that's when you achieve the results. Because as I said, your habits dictate your future. So I hope you took value from that video, guys. That's the exact blueprint on how to set up your days, how to set up your calendars, how to actually achieve the physique that you do want, the phases that you need to go through, again, you need to look at those 4 stages: the prime, the peak, the reverse, and then the total control. Once you get to that total control phase where you're in a slight surplus, it's a performance phase, that's when you're in a position where you compound growth physically, mentally, and professionally. All areas of your life are growing in harmony. You know, a lot of the time I see it, people are all in on a business. They're all in with business. But what happens, their personal standards drop off, their health drops off. And I would argue that if your personal standards are set above your business standards, your business is going to benefit from that 100%. And I can guarantee you, from my own personal experience and working with hundreds of clients, the second that you prioritize your personal standards above your business standards and your business will raise with that 100%. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you took some value. Again, as I said, morning alignment process, if you want that, it's a free download below. I would recommend it. And if you need help working with me one-to-one, there's links below. You know what to do. Peace and love. See you in the next one.